We're gonna make a miniature vacuum chamber using an applicator. This container, when it closes, is very airtight. This plastic end will go on the applicator, but it's gonna go through the metal lid. I don't wanna just drill a hole. I want to pound a hole in there so I get as much glue surface area as I can. So I don't bend up the lid, I'll go from the back. Now I'll punch in from the other side. We'll ream the hole until it just barely fits. We're getting close now. Take it nice and slow. Now it's just starting to fit in there, nice and tight. We want this to be very airtight. I'll go in far enough where I can seal it with glue. We'll pull out some 5-minute epoxy, apply the glue to both sides. This will seal everything. It would be best to let everything harden for about 24 hours. Everything's ready to make a mold now. Take a little plastiline clay and warm it up in the microwave. With it pliable, I'll be able to press a coin into it. Press the clay in real nice and tight from all directions. Pretty good detail in there. I'll trim off the mold just a little bit and then we can place it into the glass jar. Before I push the mold in, I'll put the epoxy on top. I'll grind down a little aluminum so I can mix it up with the epoxy so the coin looks a little more metallic. I've got some aluminum powder here that we can mix in. I'll puddle up some 5-minute epoxy, mix everything up with the metal powder. Place the epoxy into the mold. Gotta move pretty quick. We'll go ahead and push the mold into the chamber. Now that it's in the bottom, we'll put the top on and suck all the air out. I'll cap it, put the applicator in, pull the top out, and this will create a vacuum. Hold the top. You can see the air is just being pulled out of that epoxy. There's a lot of ways to make vacuum chambers, but this is a pretty easy way to do it. Put a piece of pipe in to hold the applicator up. That way it'll hold the vacuum. Here's a pretty good view of that. We can see some of the popped air bubbles. I can see that the epoxy is starting to set. It's been a few hours, we'll see how we did. Remove the vacuum, open up the lid, remove the clay mold. The clay is really sticking, so we may have to use some rubbing alcohol to get everything off. Scrub everything out with a toothbrush. Did not get as much detail as I was hoping. I may have to go with a silicone mold. I feel like the vacuum part worked, but we're gonna have to improve our mold. Here's the first experiments on a miniature vacuum chamber.